David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety.
For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Matt gave me the thumbs up, so we will call this meeting to order. Special meeting of the Board of County Commissioners on March 5th. Can I have a roll call, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Commissioner Anna Hamilton.
Here.
Commissioner Justin Green.
He'll be late.
Commissioner Anna Hansen.
Present.
Commissioner Camilla Bustamante.
Here.
And Chair Hank Hughes.
Present. We have a quorum. Thank you very much. Approval of the agenda. Are there any changes, Manager Schaefer, to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. Could I have a motion on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, with a motion from Commissioner Hamilton, seconded by Commissioner Hansen, we've approved the agenda. And we'll move on to number 2A, presentation on proposed projects for fiscal year 2025 congressionally directed spending requests. And I see we have Deputy Manager Leandro Cordova to start us off. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for convening today for this special meeting to discuss our congressionally delegated spending. We are a little bit earlier than last year on this year. We haven't received official deadlines from Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez or Senator Lujan, but we do have a deadline from Senator Heinrich's office of March 8th, so that's why we wanted to have the special meeting to make sure that we're ahead of that particular deadline. So I won't read through my entire memo, but I'll hit on a few of the points. The summary of this is we are looking at our congressionally directed spending and community project funding requests for fiscal year 25. anticipation that this will be authorized. As I mentioned, we haven't gotten official word yet from all three offices, and it hasn't come down from the delegation in general to give us guidance, but they are anticipating it'll happen again, so that's why we're here today. And I also will mention that last year's spending for fiscal year 24 has not yet been authorized at the federal level, as they still haven't passed a budget. So we haven't received anything that was anticipated for 2024 as of yet, because we're still waiting for them to pass a budget in Washington. So a little bit of the background, similar to the past few years, our congressional delegation has requested of us to take a look at a few different funding categories and buckets of funding, so to speak, for us to pursue some of our requests. As I mentioned a couple of times, we do not have final numbers in terms of appropriations that have been committed or set aside. However, in the past 3 years, the county has submitted different project applications for various road, facility, water, wastewater projects, and projects were then identified through a subgroup of capital planning committee to include public works, growth management, planning, housing authority, and the county manager's office, which has reviewed existing capital project requests and selected possible projects in the past. This year, though, we did have the opportunity to speak with staff from both Senator Heinrich's office and Senator Lujan's office. We had members of Senator Heinrich's staff do a tour of our La Sala facility a while back, and it was pretty straightforward. There was a request of the senator's office to put in a request for congressionally delegated spending, directed spending for the La Sala program. And so you'll see that is one of the programs, operational programs that we put on our list this year. It's not a capital project per se, but it would help supplement and expand the work that's being done at La Sala. In the past, we've been fortunate to receive funding specific to our county housing authority. In fiscal year 22, just over $1 million, $1,044,172 for re-roofing. And in fiscal year 23, we received a total of $1.212 million for re-stucco. Those two appropriations are almost here. It's taken pretty much all that time and a lot of work with our staff. Jordan in our housing authority has been working with them, and I think we're really close to getting a grant agreement to actually have the funds come over so that we can put them to use. But it has taken a little bit longer than we had anticipated, especially for the 22 monies. So that's a little bit in terms of the background and the history. For this year, as I indicated, the La Sala was a specific request of Senator Heinrich, who is really impressed with the program, and so we've developed a programmatic request for that. Also, in discussion with staff from Senator Lujan's office, it was recommended that we request some money perhaps to help us with our PFAS testing in different parts of the county, but probably specific at this time to La Cienega, knowing what we're dealing with in that area. So that is another project that's on the list that isn't necessarily tied to a capital project, but it was mentioned, and it felt like it does fit into one of the categories that was presented to us, so we did provide a project for that initiative and effort. So I'm going to quickly go through the projects as proposed. The Santa Fe County La Sala Support Program, we're requesting a total of $1.2 million. That will help with an expansion of harm reduction services, which would include the distribution of Narcan, outreach, and follow-up services after drug overdoses. Again, the program that we have this will help supplement and expand that to a certain degree, but it'll just really help make sure that we're maintaining our level of service and doing the best we can in that program. Another idea and request that came from sustainability was the idea of doing a public works solar project over the new parking lot. The estimated cost of that would be $420,000. We would be requesting the funding to install a PV system, As I mentioned, over the new parking lot at the Public Works Complex, it would offset approximately 65% of the energy use at the facility, saving over $30,000 in utility expenses annually. So that is the type of project that certainly coincides with our other efforts and some of the strategic planning initiatives put forth. It's also a project on our ICIP. Our third project, PFAS contaminants well testing, monitoring, and treatment options for individual homeowners. We're asking for $1 million on that. I will mention at this time too, some of the guidance we did get was to keep our projects around the $1 million mark or under. Anything above that is viewed more as a regional or a statewide initiative, and that's where the bigger money goes, is towards those types of initiatives that are going to have a broader reach. So we did kind of keep most of our requests from the 1.2 and under amount. So for that particular project, I mentioned a project cost of $1 million. It will help us to do private well water testing, point of entry treatment, or point of use treatment systems for individual property owners, and most likely would run through our developer assistance program as we're developing it. And it would also supplement our other efforts that we're putting into that effort. Our fourth project on the list is a repeat from last year, our RECC radio project. We decided to try to ask for this again, as some of the other awards around the state last year proved that there was interest in funding things like radio projects and public safety. So we did lower the amount somewhat to continue to help with the cobbling together of funds. We did receive some state appropriation funds. Hopefully that'll make it all the way through, along with whatever county funds we're putting in. Whatever we got would just help us continue to work on the project and get that project complete. And then the fifth project, since we've had so much success in the past, we continued with the request for public housing upgrades. Even with the funding we've gotten in the past, there's still plenty of need, and we maintained the same request as last year for another $1.116 million. As I mentioned, for our 24, we had an indication that we had received $500,000 from Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez's office. However, we're still waiting for the budget to be approved so that that can eventually make its way to us. Hopefully there won't be any loss of that funds within the budget at that time. But if they gave us another $500,000, we would put it straight into the efforts that we've been doing and put it right to use. So that's a quick summation of where we're at the memo. Our recommended action is to request authorization for us to move forward in submitting applications for these identified projects, as well as to listen to any other requests or initiatives from the board at this time, and to see if there's a chance that we can use the little extra time we have to make any of that a possibility. And I'll stand for questions at this time if there are any.
All right, thank you. And I have a bunch of questions, but let's see what the other board members have first. They probably have the same questions I do. Questions from the board? Mr. Hansen.
Thank you, Leandro, for that overview. I think all these projects are good projects. Have we ever gotten any federal money for the Agua Fria Sewers wastewater project from the feds?
Not in the last couple funding cycles that I'm aware of. I don't think so. And
did we ask?
No, we did not ask last year. That wasn't on our list last year. I think the concern with that, though, is that we're moving really quickly on that project at this point, and we're going to continue the work. As I mentioned, the money from these requests don't come quickly.
They take a long time.
It does.
And that's unfortunate. And I think that the PFAS well testing is actually really quite important, and something maybe that needs to be done sooner rather than later. But since it's federal money, there's not an anti-donation clause. Isn't that correct?
I believe that's one of the hopes and one of the opportunities with requesting this fund. We also, as mentioned earlier, will continue moving forward with our efforts at the county level. This wasn't identified specific to La Cienega either, because if the other issues come up around the county and we have excess funds, it would give us an opportunity to address other areas if need be.
And then I'm very happy to hear that Senator Heinrich has visited the La Sala project, and I think, as I said earlier, I think all of these are important. I mean, clearly, Ledger Fernandez, representative, likes supporting our public housing, and I think it's just unfortunate how long it takes for us to get federal money. So I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the other side? Commissioner Bustamante?
I do, thank you. I understand the question, and in the conversations regarding Agua Fria and looking at the big picture, a lot of the conversations coming up of what can we do, and you said this isn't directly tied to any capital requests. In time, it seems that as we identify the problem, and it's already been a request of what it would take to get county water and sewer into the La Cieneguilla area. So that being said, my answer has been, we've had Agua Fria on the list for a while. So is there a way that we can start looking comprehensively of what type of funding, if it's not through this avenue, and start to maybe realize, come to the understanding that we're going to need to be proactive, being late for leaving early. We're going to be late for getting to being proactive for something that could possibly be mitigated, even particularly in the Agua Fria area. So I don't know if it's maybe more of a statement than it is a question, but we want to start thinking about what it's going to take to have those resources and infrastructure. And it's not as simple as that, but that's part of it for sure.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Bustamante, I hear you, and I understand that we are looking at a lot more than just what's in front of us at the moment. So,
thank you. Commissioner Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I think it's a good selection of projects. Good thought into why we pick some of these, and they're all worthwhile. I guess I just wanted to confirm things that I'm assuming, because I think that this is the way it's happened in the past. It's not an all or nothing package. We're putting the whole package in, but they can and fund one or more of the projects without funding all of it.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hamilton, yes. So basically, the different categories allow us to put in an application for each of these projects in the different categories. It is still a competitive process and nothing is guaranteed, but with this list, would like to request authorization to apply for all of them in each category and see what we might be able to get.
Yes, so there are actually several individual applications, and they can approve one and not the other.
Yes.
And as a result, we're not really required to prioritize the list, because they're just all in each an independent application.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hamilton, yes, they are in no particular order.
That's great. That makes a lot of sense to me. Thanks very much. Thanks, Mr.
All right, thank you. So I have a couple of questions, and following up on what Commissioner Hamilton said, do we send this whole list to each legislator, or do we only send Heinrich the La Sala one, for example?
So as I understand it, we'll have to apply through each category specific to each project, which is the intention. We'll apply for each of these projects within each category, and then let our congressional leaders know that we applied for them. So in other words, the La Sala operational support would go to the Health and Human Services bucket. We would apply for that. We would apply for all of them in their different buckets, and then let Senator Heinrich know we've now put 5 applications in, including La Sala. It's now in the competitive process.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you. And then a question about La Sala. I think it'd be great to get some money for operations, but will that commit us to then using our own money later on to continue whatever work is started? In other words, I think the reason we usually ask for capital projects is it's like, you know, you pay for it and you're done, and that's it. With operational funding, you know, let's say we fund $1 million harm reduction program and it's really great and wonderful. Are we thinking that we would then fund it out of our own money going forward, or what's the thinking there?
So, Mr. Chairman, as I understand it, in discussions with Director O'Connor, this won't, so this will supplement what we're doing. It will give us an opportunity to expand for a short time and do extra while not necessarily committing to the long term. So what we have in existing operating, it will just grow our pool. If it shrinks again, we'll continue to keep operating at current levels. So it shouldn't be detrimental to our future. It should just help us supplement what we're doing currently.
Leandro, if I could add something to that, is that an appropriate? I might be coming from the hinterlands here, but can you hear me on that end, Commissioner? Okay.
Yes, we hear you.
So I just wanted to add a little bit to that, because the La Sala program is operated by New Mexico Solutions, and we are tapering off every year some of the funding that we give them. We started at 1.6 million. This year they will get 1.2 million. However, they want to expand some of those services. So we would temporarily reduce the amount of money that we're giving them should the congressionally directed funding come in, and continue to seek long-term funding services for some of the expanded ideas that they have. They're really growing rapidly. But I don't perceive that we would be asked to pick up expenses that exceed our capabilities in the future.
Thank you for that additional clarification. And again, I think this is great. I was just curious about that. And just so you know,
it's a good question.
I was willing to commit us to long-term funding if we needed it, but,
yeah.
But I didn't think you would have suggested it if it meant we had to do that. So, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. My last question is, do we have a particular target for Representative Ledger Fernandez, or that we're thinking of? Like we have, I know that the La Sala is Senator Heinrich's pet project, and the PFAS will be Senator Lujan's pet project. Do we know what Representative Ledger Fernandez is particularly interested in?
Well, Mr. Chairman, based on the past funding, it does appear that public housing is something that she has funded in the past, and that's part of why we left that project on there for this year's. I hope that if that's something that was funded in the past, that might be something that will be of interest this year and going forward. We haven't had an opportunity to have as in-depth of a discussion with her or her staff as we did the senators, so we still have a little time to do that, but this hopefully will be the type of project that can capture her interest.
Okay, and is there any chance we would get all of these funded? Are each of them going to give us $1 million, and therefore we're going to get around $3 million, or?
Mr. Chad, say it's highly unlikely, but we will definitely keep our fingers crossed and hope. But I don't think that we would get the entire ask. However, whatever we got, we would be able to use, and that was part of how we identified these projects as they are, is whatever we got for them would be able to be put to use and probably take away from county funds that would have otherwise had to be committed.
Okay, and it looks like to me like we're actually, just looking at this, eyeballing it, I think we're asking for more than $3,140,000, because 3 of the projects are already $1 million, and then 2 of them are $500,000. So it must be more like, I think the adding is incorrect.
You're correct. That is incorrect. I apologize for that error. We'll fix that up.
We'll just have to fix that before we do it. All right. Well, those were my questions. Any other questions that people thought of while we were talking here? So I think we have done our discussion, and So the approval you would like, Manager Schaefer, would that be just in the form of a motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that would be adequate for staff's purposes.
Okay, and unfortunately, Commissioner Green is coming up on a half hour late, so he may indeed miss the whole thing, but that's too bad. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve this recommended list of actions to proceed with applications on.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Hamilton and multiple seconds. I think I heard from Commissioner Bustamante first by about 1/10 of a second. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, by a vote of 4-0, the motion passes. And that takes us to concluding business. Announcements? Are there any announcements?
Mr. Chair, two. First, we were asked to provide the board with some updated information relative to the bills that are pending the governor. So Sarah Smith is going to hand out two different charts. The first identifies every bill that has been signed by the governor and chaptered and is therefore will become law in accordance with the Constitution or specified effective date. And then secondly, the additional list identifies those same projects in yellow, but also highlights, by not highlighting them, those bills that are still pending action by the governor. Secondly, I wanted to give you a heads up that the county tourism division, in conjunction with our consultant, will be releasing a tourism news release that celebrates legendary women of Santa Fe County's past in conjunction with Women's History Month. This is an initial effort to celebrate the accomplishment of women associated with Santa Fe County with particular emphasis on tourism-related attractions. And so as you see the news release, you'll see that Georgia O'Keeffe, Mary Cabot Wheelwright, as well as Lenora Francis Curtin are highlighted, and the tourist-related attractions associated with those historic women. So it's an effort both to celebrate, again, their historic accomplishments, but also tie it directly to tourism. And finally, we call out in the press release the Historic Women Marker Initiative that is undertaken in conjunction with the state of New Mexico. So wanted to let you know what the background was to this press release. And as we potentially replicate this in future years, then we'll continue to search for women to celebrate in conjunction with, again, tourism-related attractions within the state. So those are the updates that we had.
Thank you, and I think Hachi wants to tell us a little bit more about the legislation. Go ahead.
Oh, acting like this is my first time. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Feels like I was here just a week ago. So what was passed out to you was a fairly simple report showing the legislation which has been signed into law. The first 2 pages shows all the 53 bills which are currently been signed into law by the governor, and a little bit more detail of when it was signed and in what order these were signed in. And so they were signed in groups of different, I would say, subject matters. Just yesterday, there was a signing at the high school, and there was the signing of several different crime bills. And on the second 2 pages, pages 3 and 4, this is the list showing you, this is the one that's a little bit more, I would say, easier to look at and understanding where bills are in relation to them being executed or not. So everything that's highlighted in yellow is the bill that is been signed into law. And if it's not highlighted, we're still awaiting the governor's signature for those pieces of legislation. So of the 72, we're still waiting on 18 bills that need signature, 9 on the House side, and then 8 on the Senate side. And going back to the calendar, tomorrow is the deadline at 5 for legislation to be signed off on. And anything not specifically vetoed will be pocket vetoed. Oh, and additionally, no items currently have been vetoed by the governor, none of the 72 bills. So if anything further occurs, I will let you know. But just to add on a little bit more, looking through the list of those that have not been signed off on yet, looks like most of the budget items and also some of the environmental bills, for instance, House Bill 41, Clean Transportation Fuel Standards, and House Bill 91, Geothermal Resources Project Funds. And with that, if you have any particular questions, I'll be happy to address them as best I can.
Thank you very much, and I do understand that the governor was supposed to sign the Clean Transportation Fuel Standards this morning. That's why my wife had to get to work on time, so she was invited to watch that. But are there any questions, other comments? Commissioner Hanson?
So is there any word on, is she going to sign the budget bill?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, I haven't received word that she would go back into a special session or anything like that to redo the budgets. The one item was a House floor amendment, which I think she might be upset about, which was they put in an amendment to restrict any use of the public education budget to implement her 180-day school calendar. So she was going for the 5 days a week, and that amendment basically tied her hands as to how she could use the state budget to implement a 5-day-a-week for school districts. Other than that,
Can she line item veto that?
That, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, that was a question that was being actually looked at while they were proposing the amendment. And the way it was drafted, they were trying to not allow that to happen, but there's always a lot of time to re-examine things after a bill has been passed. So I wouldn't leave it out of the realm of possibilities.
And then it doesn't look like she's signed any of the capital outlay bills?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, that's correct.
How long is she, until tomorrow, what time, 5 o'clock, midnight?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, yeah, 5.
5. So by 5 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll know if we're going to have a special session or not.
Well, yeah, based on a special session for the budget, I would say, but I haven't received any word that there was any issues or questions regarding any of the county projects which we had contained in the bill, Senate Bill 275. And even on the last day, I was getting questions from the Senate side just to make sure that they were putting in the exact language that it was being appropriated to the right entity, whether that be city, county, or state agency. So I would say our projects, with a fair amount of confidence, will make it through.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hanson, so I'll make sure, and I'm not going to make you wait another week. I'll update you by 5 tomorrow to let you know that the capital outlay and the budget itself are passed, and I'll start examining to see what's struck through.
Okay, and let us know what's not. I mean, what is she? I would like to know what she pocket vetoes. I mean, there's not very many. Hopefully none, but it'll be interesting to see.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Any other announcements on a different subject?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Not to Hutchie. Thank you very much, Hutchie. You know, when we have the Celebrating Legendary Women of Santa Fe County's past, I'm going to ask for more diversity in this list. I think it's very, these are folks we all know about, and we don't do enough to recognize that there are other people who've had significant contributions within Santa Fe County. And frankly, Mary Wheelwright was in Rio Arriba County. I mean, they did put a real Wheelwright museum, but if for that matter, we had Maria the Potter, who, you know, had pots sold in Santa Fe for a long time, and she was Rio Arriba. So I just think we need to do better by getting some diversity on this list. It's exhausting. Thanks.
I agree with that, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yeah, Commissioner Hanson.
I agree with that also, because I think of Mary Wheelwright as somebody who definitely is associated with Rio Arriba County and Los Luceros, which was her home in Rio Arriba County. But she does have the museum here. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, that maybe we could talk about at our next board meeting, is the energy efficiency codes for 2021. I believe we have updated our codes to 2018, but new codes have been released for 2021 for energy efficiency. And so I would like to see us moving towards that, meet the state standards so that we would be in line with the state again, because they have approved the 2021 energy efficiency codes.
I agree with you as well. Thank you.
And do I have anything else here that? I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, everybody. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And
Okay, motion from Commissioner Hamilton, seconded by Commissioner Bustamante. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.